الأستاذ خليل استيتيه، إذا أنا ماني غلطانة. الأستاذ خليل استيتيه هو أستاذ بجامعة باث. هو رح يحكي لنا اليوم عن Building Cultural Bridges through Virtual Exchange Program. دكتور خليل هو Teaching Fellow in Arabic بجامعة باث، وهو حاصل على إجازة باللغة الإنجليزية من جامعة بيت لحم، وكمان حاصل على Certificate أو Diploma in Teaching Arabic Language from SOAS University. بلاتفورم لإلك دكتور أستاذ خليل، تفضل.
شكرا. هل تروني؟
احنا شايفينك وسامعينك.
الحمد لله شايفينك كويس. أول شيء أسعد الله مساءكم جميعا. في البداية أود أن أوجه شكري إلى القائمين على هذا المؤتمر الرائع. شكرا إلى الأخت أميرة، وشكرا إلى الأخت عبلة، وإلى كل العاملين من وراء الكواليس على هذا المؤتمر الرائع وإلى الأمام. فكرة هي التبادل الافتراضي بدأت في الحقيقة قبل سنتين. كنت في زيارة عمل مع جامعة باث، وذهبنا إلى جامعة الأميرة سمية للتكنولوجيا، وهناك تحدثنا مع بعض الزميلات والزملاء عن إيجاد طريقة أو وسيلة لكي نساعد الطلبة الذين يتعلمون اللغة العربية في جامعة باث، ليس فقط من أجل تطوير مهاراتهم اللغوية، بل أيضا لتعزيز معرفتهم بالثقافة العربية. فارتأينا أن نقوم بتنظيم برنامج، وكما نقول بالعامية الفلسطينية تشويس وبالناس باللهجة الفلسطينية. فأتينا أن نقوم بإيجاد برنامج حتى يساعد الطلبة على تنمية تلك المهارات، وأيضا زيادة الوعي بين الثقافات دون الحاجة للسفر إلى بلد معين. ومن هنا بدأت فكرة التبادل الافتراضي الذي يعتبر شكل من أشكال التعلم عن بعد، بواسطة استخدام أدوات تقنية متطورة مثل الحاسوب وغيرها. طبعا يستطيع الطلبة أن يجتمعوا وأن يكون عندهم القدرة أن يتعرفوا على بعض حتى لو كانوا من مناطق جغرافية متباعدة. وبدأنا بالتفكير كيف سوف نقوم ببناء هذا البرنامج دون شعور الطلبة بالملل من هذا البرنامج، لأن هذا يعتبر عبارة عن نشاط إضافي ليس جزء من مادة الجامعة، هو عبارة عن نشاط إضافي خارجي. فتوصلنا إلى استنتاج أن في كل فصل أن نقوم بتنظيم دورة، وكل دورة يكون مدتها 10 مقابلات أو دروس، ولكل درس أو كل مقابلة أو اجتماع ساعتين. خصصنا لكل اجتماع ساعتين، ساعة لممارسة اللغة العربية والساعة الإضافية للتكلم عن قضايا ثقافية واجتماعية باللغة الإنجليزية. لماذا اللغة الإنجليزية؟ لأننا في جامعة باث ندرس العربية على 3 مراحل فقط، فالطالب ليس عنده القدرة بعد المرحلة الثالثة أن يتكلم باللغة العربية عن قضايا ثقافية أو اجتماعية. فمن إحدى القضايا التي الطلاب كانوا يريدون أن يتكلموا عنها قضايا ثقافية لها علاقة بدور المرأة في المجتمع العربي، العائلة، حسن الضيافة والكرم. فالطلبة بحاجة إلى ثروة لغوية إضافية لكي يستطيعوا أن يتحدثوا مع زملائهم في الأردن عن هذه القضايا. وفي نهاية كل أسبوع أرسلنا إلى جميع الطلبة نموذج وقاموا بملئه، واحتوى النموذج على أسئلة بسيطة وقصيرة تتعلق بماذا تعلموا في ذلك الأسبوع، وركزنا على الجانب اللغوي أيضا. فهكذا بدأت الفكرة. الفكرة وليدة وفقط عمرها 2 سنين. فالآن أشارك العرض معكم. Share screen first. Let me try to find it first. Okay. هل ترون العرض؟ نعم.
احنا شايفين كل شيء وسامعين
شايفين كل شيء. تمام. اوكي. بدي احاول بس هيك اطلع من الشاشه شوي. It says here I don't want to remain. No. Okay, that's better. Okay, so what is virtual exchange? Okay, it is called also telecollaboration or teletandem. It's a form of computer-mediated learning whereby students from geographically remote classes work together online in pairs or small groups on learning tasks developed by teachers or educational facilitators. Students are engaged in educational tasks. The tasks are planned and supervised by teachers. So that is basically what the program is. Why do we need virtual exchange? It contributes to the development of learners' autonomy. It helps the learners to be more independent in their research and their study. It contributes to the development of linguistics, accuracy, and fluency. That is an opportunity for them to practice language with native speakers, because in Bath, they only come to me once a week for 2 hours. And that is not enough. It contributes to the development of intercultural awareness. Lots of my students who do Arabic at Bath have maybe some very limited knowledge or zero knowledge about our rich culture. It contributes to the development of online intercultural communication skills. And also, of course, it also contributes to the development of electronic literacy. Also, raising awareness of other cultures. Internationalizing at home. Here, with COVID and the pandemic, the chances for students now to travel overseas for a year abroad, I think it's very limited. So here they got the chance, even they can do it, at home without the need to travel. It is time saving and flexible, and people with limited mobility, people who can't travel, they can still do it from home. Another also reason, it gives them the opportunity to connect in a safer environment. And I remember 3 years ago, I wanted to send some students to Jerusalem. And we worked on a program with the university, but they said to me, no, they can't go because it is not safe for them to go to Jerusalem. So here again, they have the opportunity basically to mingle and to interact online, and they feel even safer in that environment. Another opportunity to speak the target language with a native speaker. As I mentioned before, the only time they only speak the language when they come to the classroom, we practice. And they have no exposure, basically, to language outside the campus. Employability skills, which cross-cultural communication and digital skills. And I want to talk about this because a couple of years ago, I had 2 students who did Arabic, and they basically did 3 courses at the university. And also, they were also basically exposed to the cultural aspect. And I got an email from them later on that they got jobs when they left the university, and part of, or one of the requirements of their jobs is basically basic knowledge in Arabic, plus also being aware of the cultural aspects. Okay, so what is the aim? The aim is to create sustainable projects that will help students to develop and enhance their digital linguistics and communication skills, raise intercultural awareness, and ultimately improve students' employability and social skills. So that is basically the whole aim, to come with a project at the end of the project or the program. Objectives. So how can objectives can be achieved? They can be achieved first through contributing to discussion topics at the planning stage. The students will develop their teamwork skills. Through learning in new communication channels, for example, WeChat, Teams, students will develop their also digital skills. And I have to make a confession here. I mean, I didn't even know how to use Microsoft Teams last year, because it was all new to me. Even Zoom, it was all to me. So now I got the hang of it, using it. So also this will enable the students also to use different tools of communication. Also, objectives can be achieved through guided weekly activities. Students will put what they have learned, for example, new vocab or difficult grammar points, into practice. So every week they have an activity, and part of the activity is language that they have learned in class with me. And then they will have the chance basically to practice what they have learned with a native speaker. Through guided weekly activities, students will discover and understand different aspects of culture. Okay, so we as teachers, or the ones in charge, basically we guide them what to look at, what to search. Okay, and we came to a point that when they do the activities, especially the cultural aspect, they have to stay away from two things: politics and religion. And we agreed on that. Through reflecting on their weekly activities, students will develop their critical thinking skills. And this is one of the processes of the form, basically to reflect on their basically learning experience. So the benefits: students will be given the opportunity to learn firsthand about Arabic life. As I mentioned before, some of them had very basic knowledge of our culture, and some have zero knowledge. So this is an opportunity for them to learn more about culture. And language and culture, basically, they are parallel. As we say in Arabic, a mansaf without lamb meat is not a mansaf. So when we make a mansaf, we expect to have lamb on it. Students will practice their language skills with a native speaker. Students will develop greater cross-cultural understanding and digital skills, which will be helpful for their future employability. As I mentioned about these two students, they got a job because of the basic knowledge about the culture, and they have also a limited knowledge, in Arabic, or basic knowledge of Arabic. Students will be guided through the process, but the conversation will be done individually. So this will be an enriching activity for both sides. So they are guided, they are told, what to do, and basically they receive the instructions, and then they go on their own and they do it. At the end of the program, upon completing the program, a certificate of participation normally is awarded by both universities, Bath and Princess Sumaya University for Technology. So I want to talk about now the characteristics of the program, the سمات أو مميزات البرنامج, sustained and unfolding over time with regular and intensive interaction. And even when they finish the program, it is not the end. They are still in touch. They still communicate. And that is the beauty of this program, though it doesn't unfold over time. Technology enabled, so they use technology, it's obvious. And of course, preferably based on regular synchronous or near synchronous meetings. So in Bath, I think we basically were focusing on the synchronous meetings with the students. People to people, learner-led, as I mentioned, only my role is basically to support them and to help them and to facilitate the program. So through dialogue where participants are the main recipients and the main drivers of knowledge. Structure to foster mutual understanding between both cultures. So both university students will expose and be aware of our rich culture, and vice versa. Students from Jordan also will be exposed and learn more about other cultures. So virtual exchange versus non-virtual exchange. MOOCs with no sustained interactions between small groups of students are not virtual exchange. Distance learning courses are not virtual exchange. Creating social media groups are not considered virtual exchange. And moderated and sustained and structured programs as well, they don't come under the category of a virtual exchange. Virtual mobility, which is closer to distance online education, that is studying abroad at another institution without having to go there, is not, again, virtual exchange. Programs that lack a sustained pedagogy for interaction, such as programs with only one moment for interaction, like one-off meeting, again, this is not considered to be virtual exchange. So that is basically the sequence of tasks recommended. And we didn't basically stick to it because we were very flexible, but this is basically what they recommend for those who will be interested one day to organize a VE program. So it says teacher agree on a plan with partners. So there should be a plan first. And then the introduction phase, learners present themselves and their home cultures. And the aim is to get to know the partners. And this is what we did basically. I asked my students to email their bios to me. And then from the other end, also we got the other bios, and me and my colleagues basically met together and we matched the students, of course, according to their interests. A comparative phase, learners describe aspects of their own culture and or language and ask questions to their partners about theirs. The aim is to develop an intercultural dialogue between students. Collaborative phase, learners work together to create a joint product. And the aim is task-based intercultural real-life experience and employability skills. And of course, reflection. Reflection is one of the questions on the form. We ask them that on a weekly basis to reflect on their learning experience. Sometimes they're honest. Sometimes they say, yes, we enjoyed it. We found it very challenging. It's difficult. Yeah, so always they come up with lots of reasons.
بس خليل ممكن ننهي خلال دقيقتين أو 3 لأنه عندنا عدد من الأسئلة.
Okay. Okay, we got to keep in mind the following. If you basically, any of you is interested in running that program, first you want to look at the objectives, what your objectives are, what you want to basically run a program. And from the objectives, then you design the task. And of course, the task will then you choose basically the mode, whether it's the asynchronous or synchronous. And from learning objectives, the task, the communication mode, you will choose the technology that you need. I'm trying to go, just have one more slide, I think, to go. Okay, so skills of the VA teacher, it's basically learning, teaching, guiding, and basically putting things together. So I will skip this just to save time. And I'll go last about this. I want to share with you just quickly about their feedback. So this is what I got from some of the students. It was an enriching experience, both culturally and personally. And then I have developed an understanding of the variations in cultural traditions between other nations in the Arab region. I was able to practice the vocab learned during the Arabic classes with an Arabic speaker. I gained an insight into some of the misconceptions of culture in the Arab world. And of course, an immense benefit was getting to practice with a native speaker, which is super helpful for not at least pronunciation, but also to learn local phrases and expressions. Okay, I think, you know, I think this is the end. I think that's it.
شكرا كثير لك أستاذ خليل. عندنا أول سؤال من منال. What do you suggest to build virtual bridges between Arabic learners and Arabic natives?
كم مرة السؤال؟
What do you suggest to build virtual bridges between Arabic learner and Arabic natives?
Prejudice. In what way prejudice? I don't understand the question. In what way, if she can't speak to me, in what way is she? When she's prejudiced, what does she mean by prejudice?
Okay, maybe we'll back to Manal to ask more details. The second question from Abla, did you use this program to replace the year abroad program during COVID period?
No, because at Bath we don't have a 1 year, abroad. We don't have this, so this is completely new.
Okay, and the other question from I don't know. Who are the native speakers at the other end, and how can you connect them, and are they vetted? They meant, are they vetted from the linguistics point of view?
Oh, okay, so from that end, they are basically native speakers of Arabic. Yeah, and they're basically, the whole point is to help my students, or, you know, this is who are learning Arabic as a second language, to develop and improve their language.
Okay, شكرا كثير. السؤال الثاني من شادية نصري. Could you please tell us how are you organizing the exchange, and how can you supervise your students, especially if working with teenagers?
Okay, first of all, we basically, it comes first to trust. That what comes first. Secondly, the only way we could supervise them by sending on a weekly basis a form to complete, and then they email us, you know, what they have done, and we keep a record for both the students from both universities, from Jordan and Bath. So that is the only way basically we can keep a track and supervise them through basically that form.
Okay, regarding Manal question, it seems I didn't say the question correctly. They ask about bridges.
Bridges?
I will repeat the question. How do you suggest to build virtual bridges between Arabic learners and Arabic natives?
بناء الجسور هي تقصد أعتقد. نعم منال.
بريدج جسور، يعني كيف ممكن نحن نقدر نوصل بين الاثنين؟
من خلال اللغه، من خلال التعرف على الثقافه، من خلال اللغه، من خلال اللغه انه طلاب يتعلمون اللغه ويتعرفون على الثقافه، وبالمقابل طلاب جامعه سميه ايضا يتعرفون على الثقافات المختلفه في باث، لان طلاب باث ليس فقط طلاب من بلد واحد، هو خليط من بلدان.
اوكي، انا عندي سؤال اخير. بعرف I know that we are over like running out of time. I just have one question. الطلاب يلي هن بالطرف الآخر أو النيتيف سبيكر هن من تخصصات مختلفة بأعمار مختلفة، أو هن دارسين كمان لازم يكونوا بجامعات تانية؟
لا، الطلاب من الطرف الآخر هم في جامعة الأميرة بسمة بالأردن.
أوكي.
وطبعا تخصصات مختلفة، يعني هناك طلاب يعني متخصصين بالحاسوب وبيعني مواضيع يعني أخرى، ونفس الشيء عندنا في باث طلاب يعني لما بيجي على العربي بيجي مثلا انا عندي في القسم طلاب بيعملوا PhD في مثلا الايكونومكس او الاداره. فالطلاب يعني بالنسبه لتخصصاتهم اما في باث او بالاردن مختلفه، عندهم كل طالب تخصص مختلف.
اوكي، شكرا كثير لك استاذ خليل.